Hi, this is Sunil Manji, Principal Solution Engineer based out of Houston, Texas. I'll be doing a rapid demonstration of ingesting Cisco NetFlow data. We'll be visualizing the data, determining or visualizing where the actual outbound requests are going. We'll be doing some IP enrichments, and we'll be actually running some SQL on stream to run some analytics real time. So this is CDP. First thing I want to do is I want to visualize the data set as it lands in CDP. So I'll go to the data warehouse and I'll go to data visualization. And I'll click on Sunman Data Viz and I'll open up data visualization. This is the dashboard. This is showing that I'm monitoring I am monitoring exactly 17 assets. And all of these assets seem to be going outbound. And I want to track where this data is going. Generally, all the assets are located within the United States. So if any outbound requests are going outside of the United States, I want to see where they're going. And I want to track that. So you can see within the graph here, the outbound requests mostly seem to be in the United States from my 17 assets. And if I scroll in, you can see that most of them are going to Kansas. And if I keep going and scrolling in deeper, you can see that roughly 117,000 requests were out to Kansas. So I must have a server out where we're communicating. But I do not necessarily have any servers within outside of the United States. So all of these other countries where the outbound request is going is very interesting. I never opened up these requests, and some of them might be legit. So I'm going to look for heat spots and where the requests are going. And I can see here as I start to scroll in, the Ireland seems to be a hotspot. And if I continue to click in further down, it seems like we're going into Dublin. If I go closer to Dublin, see how many requests, and there seems to be 21,000 requests coming from this location on the map. So why are my servers talking to this particular location? I have no idea, but it is definitely interesting. And you can see if I scroll out further that we're communicating with other interesting countries that I necessarily haven't approved as an administrator. You can see Latvia and Russia, and we also have much activity in China. Is another hotspot. So I want to take a look at this, right? So that's one way of visualizing quickly in cybersecurity. Where is the outbound request? Where are my servers communicating with? Then I scroll down a little further and it tells you the United States is by far the most dominant outbound request, which is, to me, that's legitimate. And over here, you can see all the other countries that my servers are communicating with, and it seems like Russia right now, there's around 113,000 requests outbound to Russia. So I need to go dig into this. And then lastly, in the chart, you can see that one of my servers in the IP address 10.10.6038 is communicating with a ton of countries. United States seems to be a dominant one, which mostly should be kosher with me. But it has 16,000 plus requests out to Russia. So I'm going to definitely take a look at this. I can also probe into other large hotspots, and you can tell here that, again, to United States, about 58,000 requests, but again, another 11,000 requests to Russia. So this quickly gives me the ability to view where is my data, where is my assets communicating outbound, because they shouldn't be communicating with anyone, any country outside the United States. So now I want to take a look at in stream, run some analytics. Now that I have an understanding that I definitely have a challenge or an issue of outbound requests, let's take a look at what's happening in stream. This is SQL Stream Builder. It gives me the capability to run SQL on stream. And I will first take a look at all my assets that I have available. Show tables. And here you can see that I have two available assets. I have IP enrich and NetFlow. I'm going to first do let's do a quick describe of IP enrich. See what the structure of the table is. And you can see I have a lot of columns, what type, and the other one is NetFlow. Let's take a look at that. And NetFlow seems to be where all my data is coming from, the real-time data, right? It has the port, the format, the source IP address, the destination IP address. So let's run a SQL. Let's see the data as it flows through right now. So I'll do select star from NetFlow, and I'll execute this on stream. At this time, it's showing me everything that's within the stream itself, showing the ports, the format. It's NetFlow v5. It's a lot of metadata. It's showing the source address, which is the server, that the source server, and then the destination, which is all the IP addresses trying to hit. And more information. What's the destination port? So a ton of good information. But over here, when I'm running the stream, I only have the IP address. I really do not have the destination address. So I want to see what's in IP enriched, because at the same time, all the data that is being streamed in from NetFlow, I'm also enriching that data in another stream. So let's take a look at that stream. I'm going to do select star from IP enrich. And here is all the enrichment data. So I have destination, geolatitude, the IP. So here I have the IP and the destination country. So at this point, I want to join the NetFlow data with my enrichment data, these two streams, so I know the countries we're hitting real time, outbound. Copy and paste my SQL here. So I'm going to select star from NetFlow, which is my, if you can think of it like my fact stream, and I have an enrichment table, and I want to join the enrichment, so the destination IP with the destination source. I'm sorry, I mean the destination address. Let's run this SQL. And now I have the same data set, but now it's joining streams. So I will scroll over and determine if the country information is present. And in fact, it is. So now I get to see the latitude and the longitude of the IP address and also the countries. So next, I want to take a look at, from this, within this stream itself, I want to take the map. I want to count what is the country that we're hitting most frequently. So here I'll change my SQL, and I'll say select destination IP geo country, and I will also count the IP country. Nothing fancy here. I'm not writing any code. I'm simply writing SQL against my stream, and I'm going to group by destination country. Let's click this off. And here, this will constantly stream, and it'll give me states, and every time a new record flows through for a specific country, the ID, the count will increment. So you can see here that Russia currently is at 5031, and this number will continue to increase. The United States at 9921. We're hitting South Korea. You can see here that Russia went to 5276. So as the stream continues to hold the state of the number of times, you can see Russia constantly comes up and it's increasing. I get to see that this is a problem. Why are we hitting or constantly incrementing countries where I have not approved outbound requests for NetFlow? And lastly, to demonstrate how we did this with ease, how we ingested Cisco NetFlow data, I'll go to NiFi. And all of this is hosted in CDP public cloud. Within NiFi, I have the capability to listen for NetFlow logs over the protocol UDP, right? And as I expose it, it's exposed over a certain port, and I have native processors that allow me to parse the NetFlow logs version 5. And from here, I'm able to codeless be able to do some rapid transformations. by removing some underscores. I found that that just doesn't work when I want to flatten my JSON. I flatten my JSON as it comes as a hierarchy. And then next I do some IP enrichments, and I send that finally the enrichment to the data lake, which is S3. I'll scroll down here and add all the streaming data. Once I've enriched it, I write that to Kafka. And when I flatten the JSON records, I'll take a quick look at what we did inside of IP enrichment to demonstrate how easy it is in cybersecurity to enrich NetFlow data or any log data. In this scenario, I'm enriching the IP with the geocoding, and which gives me the lat and long and also the country and city. So in here, I first take a look at the JSON. When I converted the NetFlow data to JSON, that's the easiest way to work with a lot of cybersecurity data. And then I take a look at, and I use the processor called GeoEnrich IP, which says give me an IP address, and I'll output a whole bunch of good information: lat, long, city, country, a ton of rich information. I only need the lat, long, and city and country in this scenario. I take the output of that and I then enrich the original NetFlow payload, and I write that over to Kafka and set the topic. And lastly, as I said, we write this to the data lake. As the data comes through, again, I add some fields to it. I add a schema, which I want to then convert using the JSON. I want to convert the JSON schema over to Parquet, because I found that when you're running with CDP, let's say Impala, the dashboards that you saw in the beginning, they're running with CDP data warehousing Impala. So Parquet is the best choice here. I also I want to merge small files. I don't want a bunch of individual JSON events. I found that when I have a larger payload and I persist that to the data lake, my queries run faster, so I'm able to do some transformations and merging. And then finally, I write to S3. So the entire flow of accepting the data from NetFlow, Cisco NetFlow, parsing it, writing it over to Kafka, writing it to the data lake, visualizing it, and also doing SQL on stream, we're all able to do that within CDP Public Cloud. Thanks for listening.